I want to run something by you guys before we get going, but you guys need to be here. All right, well, let's just start. And the other side. These circles and reverse. And the shoe circles. And reverse. And pink circles. And reverse. And reverse. And reverse. Okay, you can put away your sticks. Okay, before we go on with exercises, I want to talk with you guys about something. I'm working on a lesson, or how can I say, a lesson is forming itself out of my subconscious. And any feedback you guys have on this would be helpful. This was kind of prompted by a question that Jill asked the other day. She was asking about the principle. She didn't know the Chinese terms for it, but the principle of lifting your shu and dropping your chi, right? Lifting your spirit, but dropping your chi. And we talked about it a little bit, and I think you guys have heard about it before. The Chinese phrase to describe the process is shuling dingjing, right? Which means shu is something which is insubstantial. So that indicates your mind and your spirit. Ling Ding Jing means an energy which is leading upward. So it's shu energy leading upward. And then Shi Chen Dan Qian is a real simple one. Shi, Chen means to drop, and Dan Qian is your Dan Qian. Drop your Qi to the Dan Qian, which is really code for dropping it down even to your feet and into the ground. So it indicates two forces, right? One of which is going up and one of which is going down. And this is really important in Tai Chi and in Qigong. But I've been thinking about that a little bit, and then I ran into a video on the Weather Channel the other day that explains an aspect of this that ties it in with the signature energy of Hunyuan Tai Chi, which is the spiral. So I want to spend a few minutes, 10 or 15 minutes here. I'm going to show you a little short video, a little 2-minute video, and talk about it a little bit and see if you guys have any thoughts or any questions on this that might be helpful for putting this together. So before we watch the video, I want you to look at our photo wall here. I put this photo wall together in the big studio way back when, and it's really a history wall. So if you look at the bottom rung here, that's our studio in the Mission District. The level right up above is Master Zhang's school in Golden Gate Park. The level above that is his teacher, Master Feng, and then it goes to Chen Village, and then it goes to nature, and then it finishes, or rather it starts, with a particular picture. It starts with that picture. And the question is, why? All right. This is a photograph by a friend of mine who runs a YouTube. He's a storm chaser, and he has a YouTube channel. And although it's a little hard to see, there's actually 3 tornadoes on the ground in this picture. It's his favorite picture. All right. So he's out on the Great Plains somewhere in Nebraska or someplace, and it's a beautiful photographic tornado. Tornadoes are dangerous. They're also beautiful, and maybe more than anything else, they're wild, and we do not control them. If you look over on the left side of the picture, you can see 2 little thin tornadoes reaching the ground. So I think he's very happy that he got that picture, which is really an amazing picture. It also shows you that what every storm chaser knows, that a tornado is not just that column of wind and air and water. It actually spreads out all the way, and there are things called satellite tornadoes that form and circulate around the main tornado, and that's what usually kills people. So you got to be careful. Okay, so the question is, why is that the origin picture of this whole history, particularly since tornadoes are fairly rare in China? They do happen. Takes me a minute to get back to equilibrium. Okay, let me show you this little video and then we'll talk about it. What I've got is bits and pieces of something that I'm slowly starting to collage together into something that I hope makes sense. So hold on a minute.
Spring is traditionally tornado season. As winter turns to spring, polar air from the Rockies spills across the plains. It sets off on a collision course with warm, moist air heading north from the Gulf of Mexico. The stage is set. Warm air is light and wants to rise. Cool air is heavy and wants to sink. When the two air masses collide, they begin to spin. Tornado expert Robin Tanamachi has a simple way to demonstrate what happens next.
What we have right now is a very unstable arrangement. You can see we've got this very dense, heavy water up in the upper chamber, and the lower chamber is filled with air, which is much less dense than the water. And the air wants to go up into the upper chamber, the water wants to come down.
Scale this instability up a few thousand times, and you get vast thunderclouds called supercells, the birthplace of tornadoes. Compared to regular thunderstorms, they can span 20 miles across and tower twice the height of Mount Everest. Supercells are the most ferocious of all thunderstorms. But the energy in the storm needs an outlet. The cold air wants to sink, and the warm air wants to rise. In order to restore the balance and release the energy, another ingredient needs to be introduced.
You can see some of the air bubbles are kind of traveling up into the upper chamber, but this is a pretty inefficient way to restore the balance to this unbalanced system. And so what I'm going to do is impart a little bit of vorticity to the system by sloshing it around a bit so that now it spins. And now we have a vortex that's formed in the middle, so that now the air is flowing upwards through the center of that vortex into the upper chamber, and the water is flowing downwards into the lower chamber, so that this is a much more efficient way for the system to go back into balance.
The imbalance allows the warm and cold air to mix by spinning them together. It's the fastest way for the heavy air to sink down. This spinning is known as wind shear.
Okay, sorry about the real rough technical part of this, but I hope you got something out of that, because that's Tai Chi in a nutshell. What is heavy wants to go down, what is light wants to come up. Okay. First of all, most people don't even think about that. It's not that you don't know it, you don't think about it. And you certainly don't apply it to yourself. When they were talking about it, when she was talking about it, she was talking about a certain load. There's X amount of water up here and it wants to go down. There's X amount of air down there, it wants to come up. When we talk about Qi and spirit, there's no limit to that. It's continuous. So the spirit doesn't, it's not down here and it wants to go up, and now that it's up, it's all over. It's a flow. If you're aware of it, it's a constant flow. Now, just like a candle flame, you have to be a little careful with it, right? Because you don't take it out in a tornado, for instance. right? And it's the same with the Qi going down. It's more like a continuous waterfall than one event. But the point she made is absolutely critical. First of all, most people aren't even aware of this in their bodies, and so they don't pay any attention to it, and therefore they can't use it. They can't make use of it. But this is actually how the body works, at least the energy body. And then when they do start thinking about it a little bit, they don't know what to do with it. And what Huanyan Tai Chi, what Chen style Tai Chi does, and Huanyan in particular, because it's more focused on Qigong, on the inner body, as a study, is to begin to circle it. Circle. That's why the tornado's up there. Right? If you start to circle it, they form into channels, one of which is now much more efficient about going up, and the other of which is much more efficient about going down. So when you touch someone like Master Feng, you could just be standing there. There's nothing happening. But you touched him and you realized, oh my God, inside he's turning at 10,000 RPM. He's not doing anything with his physical body. But he never stops spiraling. Right? When you meditate, you're not moving physically. But you should feel, it's a very subtle feeling. Don't get in there with your mind and try and make it happen. It's just feel. Oh, yeah. It's spiraling. That's the basis of Tai Chi, at least our style of Tai Chi. So the other day I used the metaphor of a bungee cord to talk about Shuling Dingjing, the spirit going up, Qi Shen Dan Qian, the Qi going down. And that's useful. That's a useful metaphor. There's a lot you can learn from doing that. But it's not dynamic. It's kind of static. Right? So if I just hold this loosely and Annie comes and pushes into the bungee cord itself, well, there's no resistance to it. Right? If I want to give her some resistance, I don't do it directly at her. What I do is stretch it. Now it's like pushing into the surface of a trampoline. Oh, it pushes back. And yet, it's not actually pushing back. It's not deliberately pushing back. It's just pushing back because that's its structure. That's what it does. Now, imagine that this column is actually that tornado. Stick your hand in the tornado and see what happens. All right? Rand, you're in your laundry, right? Start up your washing machine and stick your hand in it and see what happens.
I think there are some things in place that prevent that from happening.
Good, because otherwise you'd probably have a broken arm.
Otherwise, I would try it for sure.
you would just go ahead and do it. So, what you cultivate, amongst many other things, but the real core of what you're cultivating is this internal spiral. But it's not, does it have something to do with your body structure? Absolutely, yes it does. But it's not your body structure. Right? In a sense, it's not even your dynamics, it's something else that we don't really have words for. Right? So if I was Master Zhang and Annie was me, I would have her come over here and just place her hand up here on my up on my shoulder, right? Now, when you push hands with somebody, you don't show them what you got, but I'm going to ask her to push in just a little bit, right? And feel. Can you feel? Right? I'm doing this on purpose. I'm spinning it, right? So, what could you do with that? The daimai is spinning. She's already spinning in this direction. It doesn't take any effort because it's like you've got the current of a river inside yourself and you listen to the other person to find out what their current is. And then you match your current to their current. And if they're dangerous, if they're trying to pop you in the head, right, then you just let them float away in another direction. So if Annie's decided that she's going to pop me in the head, right, so she's going to pop me somewhere, right, so her energy is now coming in this direction. So let it come. Let it come. It's so simple. Right? And again, right, she's going to, as soon as she starts to lose her balance, she's going to turn back the other direction. Right? Turn back the other direction. Right? You just follow the person. You let them move first because you're trying to. Have you ever seen log rollers? Do you know what a log roller is? It's like a contest where they have these huge logs in the mighty rivers of British Columbia. And these guys get on these logs, there's two of them, and they'll start spinning the log, and then they'll spin it backwards and forward. And of course the game is, one of them is going to fall off first. The question is, how long can they stay up? And it's on a wet log. And they can stay up for a long, long time. They've learned to read each other. And as soon as one guy changes, the other guy changes too. It's just push hands. Right? And eventually someone tricks the other one and they fall down. That's what push hands is. It's a game to let you practice your ability to hear the other person's energy. And those changes come like that. And they're tricky. Those guys are tricky. I mean, they'll start one thing and they'll immediately go back to something else, you know. And you've got to be really good. You've got to be really good to match that. But what really interests me is the idea of the internal tornado. So it's running through the core of the body. And when you are practicing, some of the exercises are, wow, absolutely, wow, I'm practicing my inner tornado. But the truth is, every exercise you're practicing your inner tornado. It's just a slightly different, we're used to pictures like that where the tornado is coming straight down out of the clouds to the sky. But there are lots of pictures of tornadoes that are horizontal, that are going from cloud to cloud and rolling like this, way up in the sky, or that are on every possible kind of angle. And it's the same with these exercises. So let's do one exercise. This is a shoulder exercise. But when you do this, feel your inner tornado. It just happens to be manifesting right now in the shoulder. Oh, so it's not straight up and down. All right? It's connected to this down here at the root, but it's actually a little bit of an angle. And as you do this, use this other metaphor, right? So Annie, stand in the middle. All right? I'm going to have Annie do that, and I'm going to, all right? stretches, condenses, stretches, condenses, stretches, condenses, stretches, condenses. That's what she should be doing with her center line, her chongmai, her central column. Stretch, right? One up, one down, and then condense. Stretch, condense, stretch, condense. Oh, it's also spinning. Spin, 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 and reverse, same thing. Stretch, condense, stretch, condense, stretch, condense. Spin, 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 and the other side. Spin, 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 spin. Can you feel it in your ankles, your knees, your hips, your shoulders? Everything is spinning. Right? Watch my hand here. Spin, 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 spin. Right? Stretch and spin, condense and spin back. Stretch and spin, condense and spin back. All right? Alternates. Spin, 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 spin. Right? All the way from the bottom of your foot. Spin, 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 spin. Watch my shoulders. And watch my hip. The shoulder spins, but so does the hip, because the shoulders and the hips are aligned. Spin, spin, spin. Right? My elbows and knees are spinning at the same time. They're coordinated. They're just, how do you coordinate them? By just relaxing into them. Right? My wrists and my ankles. Right? And reverse it. Now spin the other direction. Right? Double. Shoulders open and spin backward, but so do the hips. And then they spin the other direction. Open, close, open, close. Spin open, spin close. And reverse. Spin open, spin close, spin open, spin closed. As you do these, think of your body as like the water in those bottles that she was demonstrating with. And inside that water, currents are happening. See if you can feel the currents. she got a really beautiful little vortex going there. It was perfect, all right? Does yours feel like it's perfect? Maybe it's got a few quonky parts in it. If it's got a few quonky parts in it, just kind of keep looking at that. The parts that are quonky, the best way to deal with them is to relax. Huh? Just relax and just keep spinning. And the spinning will slowly work out the quonk. It might take weeks, might take months, might take years, right? But it will slowly work out. There is no move, including this move, in Tai Chi and Qigong that is not based on those internal spirals. Okay, so I'm trying to work that stuff up into some kind of lesson because I just really liked that metaphor. I love those two bottles. I love the spiral. It's exactly what it's like. So any comments, suggestions?
I think you just have to keep thinking about it, focusing on it, searching for it.
Yeah.
You'll get little hints of it, and then you just try to grab onto that and expand it.
Yeah.
I mean, at least that's how I approach it.
And if I remember right, you said the first time you felt your chi was when you were doing.
Yeah, when I do this.
You're spinning the wrist, right?
It feels like a solid ball.
It feels like something's there,
Yeah,
right?
it feels like a solid ball is in it.
She's creating a vortex,
Yeah.
right? The whole body's turning.
And it's odd because some mornings I start it and it's there.
Immediately.
And then other mornings I have to search for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. But what happens over time is at first, when you first feel it, it's a little tentative. Do I feel something? Oh, well, I thought I felt something. And then tomorrow you do it again. And, oh, yeah, I really do feel something. Yeah. And then slowly it gets more and more solid feeling.
Yeah, it feels solid.
And after a while you go, yeah, I mean, that's real. When I started with Master Zhang 34 years ago, myself, as well as all the other guys, including the Chinese guys, all asked the same questions. Is this stuff real or is it just bullshit? All right. I mean, we really liked Zhang. We were enjoying what we were doing. But, as far as thinking about this stuff, well, is it real or is it a metaphor? Or
you want it to be real.
You want it to be real. And when you touched hands with Master Zhang, he convinced you that it was real because you were on the ground.
Spitting gravel out.
But the question was, is Qi really real, or is it just sort of a poetic metaphor? Is your Danshen really real, or is it just sort of a medical metaphor? Is this spiral real, or is it just sort of a training metaphor? Well, it is metaphoric in all those senses, but it's also real. And when you start to really feel it inside, you go, oh, that's it. That's what they're talking about. And you realize it's not something from Mars. It's something that was always in you, but you just weren't paying any attention to it. All right? So you do this and do this and do this year after year after year. And every year it gets more and more real, more and more solid. Okay, Ran, any comments, suggestions, questions?
I think it's useful to just remember these things, like, I'm not just going up, I'm stretching. I'm not just moving around. I'm just like it's easy to get bogged down in the moves and the choreography. And they're like, okay, now my hand is up, now my hand is down. And it's more like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about like what energy am I moving around here? How is it moving?
That's exactly right. You got to keep asking yourself those questions. Master Feng would put it this way: you fall back asleep. You do these exercises, and if you don't pay attention, You just fall back asleep, and now I'm just doing an exercise, and I'm not really doing it. All right? It's like meditating. Well, I'm in the meditation position, but actually I'm taking a nap. That's why in Zen dojos there's a guy with a bamboo stick who walks around the dojo, and when he finds somebody sleeping, he whacks them on the shoulder. All right? And the guy is supposed to say, "Thank you. Thank you, master. May I have another?" All right? You got to stay awake while you do this. Okay, guys, we're out of time. Have yourselves a great day. If you're going to stay for advanced Qigong, give me 10 minutes. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Ciao.